Hello, thanks for mathing with me today. This video is all about fractions and percents. We will calculate percentages and convert between fractions and percents. A percent is a fraction that has a denominator of 100. They're used so regularly that we no longer write percentages as fractions, and instead we use this percent symbol. Percent is per for every, cent, 100. So for every 100. In this first example, we're going to convert from percent to fraction. The first step is to make the percent as the numerator of a fraction and 100 as the denominator of the fraction. And then all we're going to do is simplify. So in number 1, 38% is the same as 38 over 100. All that's left is to simplify. Both numerator and denominator divide by 2. 38 divided by 2 is 19, and 100 divided by 2 is 50. So 38% can be written as 19 over 50. Let's try another one. We have 110% in number 2, so we write 110 as the numerator and 100 as the denominator. This is an improper fraction, but that's okay. We can still write it as 11 over 10, right? Both numerator and denominator divide by 10, and that's our fraction form. In this last example, we rewrite 14% as a fraction, 14 in the numerator, 100 in the denominator. Again, this both divide by 2, 7 over 50. Try some examples on your own. Numbers 4, 5, and 6. Convert the percent to a fraction, and don't forget to simplify. Pause the video now and try these 3 problems. All right, hopefully you paused the video and you saw that 64% equals the fraction 16 over 25, 88% equals the fraction 22 over 25, and 200% actually simplifies to an integer 2. Next, I want to just share a few tips and tricks for simplifying. So if a number ends in 5 or 0, then you know it's divisible by 5. If a number ends in 0, it's divisible by 10. If a number is even, we know that it's divisible by 2. And if you add up all the numbers and the sum is divisible by 3, the number is divisible by 3. What I mean by all the numbers is if we look at this example, 243, if we add 2 plus 4 plus 3, that equals 9. 9 is divisible by 3, which means that 243 is also divisible by 3. In these next examples, we're going to find the percent of a number. So the first step is to write the percent as a fraction with a denominator of 0, just like we did in the previous example. And then we're going to multiply that fraction by the number we want to find the percent of. Let's try some together. So in number 7, we have calculate 25% of 80. So step 1, write the percent as a fraction, 25 over 100. And then we're going to multiply that by our number 80 that we want to calculate the percent of. To do this, you might want to write the fraction as 80 over 1 if that helps you, but remember when we multiply fractions, we multiply their numerators, which gives us 25 times 80, and then we multiply the denominators, which in this case gives us 100. I find it easier to see what simplifies by leaving it as 25 times 80 rather than trying to multiply these two large numbers together and then simplify. So notice 25 and 100 simplify, right? 25 simplifies to 1 is divisible by 25, and 100 is divisible by 25 and equals 4. And now we just have to simplify 80 with 4. So we can simplify again. 80 divided by 4, well, we know 8 divides by 4, it's 2. So that gives us 20 in the numerator, and then just 1 in the denominator. So our final answer then is 20. 25% of 80 equals 20. And you may have known that just from maybe understanding, having good number sense, but it's better to practice with these easy examples before we move on to the harder examples. Let's try number 8. 15% of 200 apples are bad. How many apples are bad? So we want to calculate 15% of 200. So we write 15 over 100, 15% as a fraction, and we're going to multiply that by 200. So again, I'm going to write it as one fraction, but I'm not going to multiply it out because we're just going to make it more difficult to simplify if we do that. So we see that 200 and 100 simplify to 2 over 1. So when we have a 1 in the denominator, we don't need to write it when we write our final answer. So now we're just multiplying 15 times 2, which is 30. So this isn't our final answer because this is a word problem and it asks how many apples are bad. So we need to answer that question. 30 apples are bad. That's our final answer. Let's try one more together. Number 9, the price of a skateboard is reduced 25% in a sale. The old price was $120. Find the new price. So we want to find how much was it reduced by, right? So 25% of 120 would be the amount of dollars that the old price was reduced by. So let's find out that value by finding 25% of 120. So 25 over 100 is our fractional form, and we're multiplying that by 120. And again, we're going to rewrite this. Well, right away, I can see that 25 over 100 simplifies to 1 over 4. So now I'm just simplifying 120 over 4. And if you know both of these divide by 4, right? 4 divided by 4 is 1. 12 divided by 4 is 3, so 120 divided by 4 is going to be 30. So our discount is $30, right? That's our discount. But that's not what the question asks, right? It says to find the new price. So the new price would be the old price, which was 120, minus our discount, which is 30, and that's going to equal $90. So we can write $90 is the new price. So be sure that whenever you're given a word problem that you answer the question that is being asked. Also be sure that you include a phrase that just talks about what the question is about, and be sure to include units. In this next example, we want to change a ratio to a percent. So we first must write the ratio as a fraction, and we want to then convert that fraction in such a way so that the denominator becomes equal to 0. So we're going to find an equivalent fraction where the denominator is 0. So let's do an example. In number 10, we see that we have, what percent did you get on the test if you got a 34 out of 50? So we're going to write that 34 out of 50. That's a ratio, which can be written as a fraction. And then we want the denominator to equal 0. So what can we do? We think to ourselves, what do I need to do to this denominator to equal 100? So we multiply. If I multiply 50 by 2, then I will get a denominator of 100. If I multiply the denominator by 2, I must also multiply the numerator by 2 in order to have an equivalent fraction. So 34 times 2 is 68, and 50 times 2 is 100. And then remember, we can write fractions. For all fractions that are over 100, we can write them as percents, right? That's what that percent symbol means. It means per 100. So this means that we can rewrite this as 68%. And now we have converted a ratio or fraction to a percent. Let's try another example together. In number 11, we have 62 is what percent of 200? So we write 62 over 200, right? That's our ratio, write it as a fraction. And then we want to convert that denominator to 100. So if we're at 200, if we divide by 2 in this case, we'll get 100. That means we need to also divide the numerator by 2 in order to have an equivalent fraction. 62 divided by 2, half of 62 is 31, half of 200 is 100. Now we have our fraction over 100, which means we can rewrite it as a percent. So 31%. I want you to try the last example on your own, number 12. What is the percent discount if the original price was $25 and you only paid $14 on sale? This one's a little bit tricky. Think about the context of the problem and write the ratio as a fraction. Pause the video and try number 12 on your own. All right, hopefully pause the video. I'm going to walk you through this problem. The question says, what is the percent discount if the original price was $25 and you only paid $14 on sale? So the first thing you want to do here is set up a ratio. Your price that you paid is $14. The original price was $25. So we're creating a ratio to represent the price you paid over the price, the original price. We want to write this as a percent. What percent did you pay? So to do this, we take the denominator of the fraction and we want to create 100 from the denominator. So we multiply 25 by 4, which means we have to multiply the numerator by 4. 14 times 4 is equal to 56. So now we have a ratio over 100, which we can rewrite as a percent. So this is the percent that we paid, but the question says, what is the percent discount? So we want to know what the discount is. So therefore we have to subtract the percent that we paid from 100%. That will give us the 44% discount as our answer. My hope is that you were able to learn how to calculate percentages of numbers, as well as convert between fractions and percents in this video. Thanks so much for mathing with me today.